They came to the door and said that they were DTE employees and that they were checking for a gas leak.
A completely disturbing and unforgivable act, in my opinion.
We're DTE, we're checking for gas leaks.
Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Zuazo came into the house, and my husband was going to show them where the basement was.
When we asked him why only one victim was killed, he became irate and yelled something along the lines of, "What do you mean, why did we kill only one? It wasn't supposed to go down like that."
Now for what's tipping the scales. The home invasion hoax murder. It's a horrible case. Unusual fact here, we have two juries, two defendants, Carlos Hernandez and Joshua Zuazo, accused of murdering this man, 72-year-old Sam Murray, the owner of a jewelry store. They allegedly posed as utility workers. You saw the video there to gain entrance into his home, said, "Hey, we're here checking for gas leaks." These two thought, "Oh boy, gas leak, we better let them in." And they look legit. They got the vest on, the clipboard, and the name tag. So they let him in, sent him down to the old basement, and that is where Sam was murdered. Linda Murray was beaten and tied up with duct tape, but she survived and she testified.
Hernandez binding my hands and my ankles together with duct tape.
And is that against your will?
Yes.
Okay. Did you notice if any of your items were taken that day?
Yes.
What was taken from you?
Oh, when Zuazo came downstairs, I saw that he was carrying a drawer from my jewelry box.
Okay. And that was without your consent?
Yes.
Was there anything taken from your purse that was without your consent?
Yes.
What was taken from your purse?
$300.
One of the things that really caught our eye in this case is the fact that the trial has not one but two juries. So how might the multiple juries tip the scales here? Here to discuss, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney David Bruno and chief trial attorney for Muskegon County, Michigan, prosecutor's office, Matt Roberts. Matt, let's start with you here. The reason that we have two juries, or two defendants we see a lot, sometimes three, sometimes more. Two juries means that one jury can't hear everything that the other jury hears, right? Because you're talking about two defendants and you don't want it bleeding over. How logistically difficult is it to navigate? And is there danger that something could happen here that promotes reason for appeal?
Well, good morning. It's great to be here. Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare to have two juries, primarily for no other reason than courtrooms are not set up to have two juries. Typically, you have one jury box. You'll have 14 or 15 seats for alternate jurors, but you're not really set up to have 30 jurors or 28 to 30 jurors in a courtroom. You need two deliberation rooms as well because they have to deliberate separately. You need to make sure that you have, as a prosecutor, in your mind exactly what evidence is going to come into both juries and what needs to go before one, and be ready to address that with the judge. So definitely potential for error there. If something comes out in front of one of the juries that's not supposed to, it can be error for whichever jury that is for that defendant. So a lot of landmines there for this prosecution and this court to handle.
David, what's your overall take on this case?
Well, the take is, this is a felony murder prosecution, and Michigan's a little different, as my counterpart will tell you. Typically, it's like a strict liability felony murder, meaning you go in for a home invasion or a burglary, and a death occurs during the course. The co-conspirators are all on the hook for the murder. But Michigan's different. It was People versus Aaron in 1980 that threw in a malice requirement that actually each co-conspirator has to either have an intent to kill, an intent to commit serious bodily injury, or the wanton and willful disregard that could lead to those things. Hernandez here is pointing the finger at the co-defendant, saying it wasn't my intention to kill, and that I didn't have that. So the malice is at issue in Hernandez's case. But honestly, what's going to tip the scales in this one? It's the duct tape. because the duct tape is the reason for the death. It was asphyxiation. His oxygen was cut off by the duct tape. And both defendants' DNA is actually on the duct tape, and they're both on video purchasing the duct tape. So I think the state is really going to be focusing on the duct tape to tie Hernandez in as well on that wanton, reckless disregard prong of malice.
Matt, first of all, did you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, certainly it does pose a challenge, but it's really a challenge for the defense too to explain. Well, I wasn't in on what was going on. Well, you still went in to rob the person, and like my colleague was saying there, that third prong of malice is really useful for prosecutors because it does allow us the opportunity to prove an intent there, where you're creating a situation where death or great bodily harm is a likely result, and tied directly to the duct tape. It really just sort of puts it over the top, I think, for both of these defendants. Absolutely.
David, the DNA is on the duct tape, but Hernandez, he basically says, well, he went down to the basement a little bit, but then I left, I came back up, dealt with mom, with the wife, and then Zuazo comes up, and he does have a couple things going for him in that you get the police interview where he says, what? He seems shocked that someone's dead, and it's never supposed to happen that way. And then you have the wife who is brilliant on the witness stand. She is just a play-by-play announcer of what transpired, and she basically says, I'm up there with the fat guy, Hernandez, and the other guy's downstairs, and then he comes up, and the blood is on him. And then that's when she's asking, where is my husband? Where is my husband? Does Hernandez have a chance here? And how does he do it?
That's the only reason that this is a dual jury. I mean, that's the only hope that Hernandez has. It's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We're talking about Diddy and his acquittals as well, on some surprising acquittals as well. It's a high standard, but again, Hernandez is coming in with this egregious home invasion. The preparation was done, so his credibility is certainly going to be at issue, and the jury can completely disregard Hernandez's statement on that point too and convict him.
Matt, I know you don't like defense attorneys because you're a prosecutor, but let's say you were representing him. How do you successfully separate your guy from that guy and get your story across? Does he take the stand?
Yeah, you almost have to, again, because like you said, the wife has done such an excellent job kind of laying this out, and the evidence is otherwise so overwhelming. He's there, he's posing as a DTE worker, he's trying to get into the house. You almost have to take the stand, so you really just have to have this belief, like, I'm going to be able to convince the jury that I just really did not want this to happen. So I think that's what has to happen here. I think the defense attorney is doing everything they can with having the multiple juries. Like David said, it's really the only way to get that point across when you've got both of these guys charged. Tough case though. Tough to prove to this jury that you didn't have some type of intent when you're in there with the duct tape and all those other things. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just the scheme, the way that they orchestrated it, they went to such lengths to trick these people. And these folks being old, I don't think that I think anybody would potentially fall for this, the way they pulled it off. And then to get in there to try to steal their belongings under this ruse that there was a gas leak that they needed to deal with. It's just deplorable. David Bruno, Matt Roberts, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for your valuable time.